right, so welcome back, everybody, to the deep dive. Today, we're going to be looking at something pretty wild.
Okay.
And it has to do with AI,
All right.
artificial intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be looking at the infrastructure behind AI.
Yeah.
And the story that we're going to be diving into today comes from CBS News.
Wow.
And CBS News reported during the Trump administration that there was an announcement about a huge amount of private investment going into AI infrastructure.
Huge. Like, how huge are we talking here?
Well, they set up to $500 billion.
$500 billion. That's unbelievable.
That's more than the GDP of a lot of countries.
Goodness gracious. That's a lot of money.
That is a lot of money. And so we're going to be looking at
What in the world?
this announcement from the Trump administration
Okay.
and try to figure out what it all means.
That sounds like a plan.
So just starting right off the bat, like $500 billion?
Yeah.
What does that tell us?
Well, first of all, it tells me that somebody's taking this stuff pretty seriously. $500 billion. That's not chump change. You know, that's a real commitment. And it tells me that there were some folks back then who saw this as a really, really big deal.
Absolutely.
I mean, this isn't just like, investing in a new social media app or something like that. This is infrastructure we're talking about.
Yeah.
This is the foundation for the future. And for somebody to be willing to put up that kind of cash, it says to me that they believe this is going to be a game changer.
Okay, so let's make a step back for a second and make sure that we're all on the same page.
Yeah.
When we say AI infrastructure,
Yeah.
what exactly are we talking about? Like, what is that?
So imagine like the internet, right?
Yeah.
You've got all these data centers all over the place,
Yeah.
huge buildings filled with computers and servers and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Now picture that, but on steroids.
Okay.
We're talking about massive data centers specifically designed for artificial intelligence with tons and tons of processing power, specialized hardware, all kinds of crazy stuff.
So like more powerful computers, basically.
Oh, way more powerful.
Oh.
Okay. Like computers that can handle the massive amounts of data that AI needs to function.
Right.
We're talking about data lakes where they store all this information and then all these algorithms and software that are constantly analyzing that data, learning from it and making decisions.
So it's not just the hardware, it's also the software.
It's the whole package, the whole shebang.
Okay.
Without the infrastructure, the AI can't really do much of anything. It needs that foundation to build on.
So it's like the foundation of a house.
Exactly.
You can't have the house without a solid foundation.
Precisely. Without the infrastructure, you're just building castles in the sky.
Okay, so now that we know what AI infrastructure is, let's go back to this announcement from the Trump administration.
Right.
They mentioned this huge amount of private investment.
Right.
But did they give any specifics about which companies might be involved?
That's the funny thing. The article itself doesn't really name any specific companies. Yeah. Which I thought was a little strange given the amount of money we're talking about.
Yeah, that is kind of strange.
But I think it's safe to assume that the big players in the tech world were probably involved, the companies that are already investing heavily in AI.
So like who? Google, Microsoft, Amazon, that kind of crowd.
Exactly. Those are the folks who have the resources and the motivation to be a part of something this big.
Right.
They're the ones who stand to gain the most from a major AI breakthrough.
Okay, so it sounds like this wasn't just about money.
No.
This was also about power.
Absolutely.
And specifically the power of the United States.
That's right.
Like they wanted to make sure that the U.S. was a leader in the AI world.
It was definitely a strategic move. There was this sense at the time that other countries like China were catching up in the AI race.
Right.
And the U.S. government wanted to make sure they stayed ahead of the curve.
So it was kind of like a Sputnik moment.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
Like a wake-up call saying, hey, we got to step up our game if we want to stay on top.
Wow. So this investment could have had huge implications, not just for the economy, but for global politics as well.
Oh, absolutely. This wasn't just about making money. It was about national security and global influence.
Okay, so let's try to look into the future a little bit.
All right.
What could this level of investment have meant for the future of AI? Like what kind of advancements could we have seen?
I mean, the possibilities are pretty mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Think about things like self-driving cars, for example.
Yeah.
With this kind of investment, they could have made huge leaps forward in that technology.
Right.
Or healthcare. Imagine AI being able to diagnose diseases with incredible accuracy or develop personalized treatments.
Wow.
Or even things like climate change AI could have been used to analyze data and come up with solutions to some of the biggest problems facing the planet.
It sounds like this investment could have had a really positive impact on the world.
Oh, yeah, the potential benefits are enormous.
But of course, there are always downsides to consider as well.
Of course, no technology is without its risks.
What would you say are some of the biggest concerns about AI?
Well, one of the biggest ones is job displacement.
Yeah, that makes sense.
As AI gets more sophisticated, it's going to be able to automate more and more tasks that are currently done by humans,
Right.
which means a lot of people could lose their jobs.
That's a scary thought.
It is, and it's something we need to be thinking about very carefully. How do we prepare for a future where AI is doing a lot of the work that humans used to do?
That's a tough question.
It is, but it's one we need to start asking ourselves now,
Right.
because the future's coming whether we're ready for it or not.
So for our listeners out there, I think the main takeaway here is that this announcement from the Trump administration was a really big deal.
I agree.
It showed just how seriously people were starting to take AI.
Mm.
And it hinted at a future where AI could have a profound impact on every aspect of our lives.
And who knows what the future holds?
Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it?
Maybe all those billions did materialize and we're on the cusp of some incredible breakthroughs.
Or maybe things went in a completely different direction.
Either way, it's a fascinating story and one that I think is worth keeping an eye on.
Absolutely. So for everyone listening, keep thinking about AI and its potential impact on the world. And keep diving deeper into the stories that shape our future. That's all for today's deep dive. We'll see you next time.